I just ripped up that piece of paper. No big deal. It's only worth a couple cents. But imagine if instead this were the most expensive comic book in all the world. You're going to hear about all the twists and turns of this story, including how this book was discovered in the most unusual of places, how the book was severely damaged by a family argument, and finally, how much the book fetched at auction. A gentleman by the name of David Gonzalez had just purchased a home. He bought it for $10,000 in Minnesota. Happened to be built in 1938. The idea is that he would restore it and make it worth more money and then resell it. As he and his team were going through the house, he went to one room, tore down the wall, and he was going through the insulation, different pieces of paper, newspaper, and he noticed something. He grabbed it. It was all wrinkled and balled up, but it wasn't a newspaper. It was a comic book. And as he unfurled it, he noticed it was Action Comics #1, first appearance of Superman in the most expensive comic book in the world. David knew that this book was worth some money, but not how much. Later on, after having some conversations with his family, his wife's aunt took out the book and she wanted a piece of the action. And she was handling the book, and as she was handling it, parts of the book seemed to be falling off, and this really frustrated David. And he grabbed the book back from her, and while he grabbed the book, she was still holding on to the back cover, and a huge rip occurred. And as David tells it, he was like, I don't care about the money. This is mine, and I'll just throw this book away. I'll just throw it in fire. Fortunately, cooler heads prevailed, and David was able to get in touch with people who knew about comic books. So they took that book, they were able to press it and make it look as nice as it could. If you look at that front cover, it still looks pretty rough, but it is intact. Now, if you look at the back cover and you look closely, you can see where that tear is, almost across the entirety of the back cover. The book was professionally evaluated by CGC, and the grade of 1.5 was given. That's a 1.5 out of 10, and that's a fair good. That means that the book is complete, but has been torn quite a bit. Let's talk about that grade if the back cover wasn't torn. I'd say it would probably grade out at about a 2.5 or a 3. So let's go with a 3.0. Eventually, this book makes its way to an auction house, ComicConnect. The book sells for $175,000. How much would this book have been if it were a 3.0? Well, it would probably be $300,000 to $350,000 back in the day. So nevertheless, that investment of $10,000 in that house turned out to be a bonanza for David Gonzalez. Believe it or not, there is a stranger story involving a copy of Action Comics #1. You can find out that story here. It involves Nicolas Cage and his copy, a world-class copy, being stolen. Thanks so much for watching, and hope to see you around real soon.